Greetings. Welcome to the DragonCon Urban Fantasy Track interview series. We have a special treat today. I am joined by new friends of the track and wonderful musical duo, Charming Disaster.
Hello.
Otherwise known as Ellia and Jeff, but thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Carol. Thanks for inviting us to be here.
It's great to be here.
Certainly. And we've got, I as usual, I have bunches of questions for people.
All
so
right.
we'll get talking about all of your great fun stuff that you have coming up. And my very first question, though, is about when did you each start playing music, and what was your first instrument?
I got a guitar for my 14th birthday. And my mom played guitar, and this was like a Christmas present, and it was so magical to get this thing that was like both a tool and a piece of furniture all wrapped up in one. I was very reverent to it. It was just this beautiful piece of wood. I'd never had such a cool thing before, and I took guitar lessons from there, and it just changed my life forever. So I was 14 years old. That was like 100 years ago.
I understand, believe me. And Ellie, what about you?
I started taking piano lessons when I was I think it was the second grade. My piano teacher was the music teacher at the school I went to at the time. And I was not like a great piano student or anything. Like I was all right, but I was always really musical, and I kind of always wrote songs. Like I remember writing songs like right around that time as well. I still remember how a couple of them go. So piano was a great foundation because all the theory is kind of laid out visually in front of you, and so there's like an intuitiveness that comes along with that. And then much later, when I was in my early 20s, somebody gave me a ukulele, and that sort of opened everything up for me as a songwriter, where the ukulele was an instrument where like I could accompany myself. I didn't need a band. And it's very portable. You can
you don't have to carry a piano around.
I know, it's like saved my back so much. But like I have a rule of thumb, which is like if you're asking yourself, should I bring the ukulele? That means you should just bring the ukulele. Because like, what's the downside? You brought the ukulele. It's like, my purse is bigger, really.
Right, there you go. Yeah, you can hide it inside, or not hide it, but carry it, and it's probably
a discreet ukulele.
Yeah. And you had mentioned lyrics, that you were actually writing songs when you were that young as well. When you were in about second grade, you said was when you started.
Yeah. Like songwriting always was like a thing that I just it's like a function of being me, is like writing songs, I think. But I didn't have like a medium for it until much later.
Right. Okay. Now, when people ask you, what kind of music do you play? How do you describe it to someone who has never actually heard you before?
Well, it's funny you should mention. We get this question all the time. We got it just the other day when we played a music festival in Salt Lake City, and we have a pretty carefully prepared elevator pitch at this point. Would you like to do it?
We are goth folk or
dark cabaret. Playfully dark storytelling songs played on acoustic instruments in a sort of two-person, one-man band style, because we're each playing percussion with one foot. But the subject matter is dark, and so hence the goth part of the goth folk.
But playful.
Yeah. Well, after having listened to your music and seeing you play live, I will give the seal of approval to that description. I think that description serves you and represents you well. So
it's funny when we were in Germany, we would just say goth folk is like a shorthand, but in Germany they were like, "You're not goth. You're not really goth. Why do you call yourself goth folk?"
And we'd be like, "Oh, it's dark, like monsters.
Like,
and
this is not goth music.
It's not goth music.
Eh,
No, they're very like, they weren't like mad about it, but
No,
they were
they're
like, they were like trying to like help us be more. They'd be like,
Precise.
"I love goth." Like, you should call it dark Americana cabaret. And we were like, all right,
Okay.
that's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, next time we come, we will put that on the poster.
Well, see, it was the ukulele that made them say Americana. Probably you got to stick that may have been part of the reason, but that is too funny
Yeah.
that they wanted
very-
you to be very specific and
very
precise.
specific. Yeah.
Very much.
Well, what's funny though is like we do actually play a fair number of like goth music events, like
Right.
especially like just in the last like month or so. We did a goth night in Lynchburg, Virginia, and we just came back from Salt Lake City where we played a like a goth music festival, and like the goths love what we do because it's like coming from this. I mean, I was like not 100% sure because
Yeah.
we were like the only non-synth band, you know, in some of these milieus. But you know that we're like we're of the vibe. We are
Right.
We're in that world and we're kind of mining from the same source material. I
Yeah,
think.
though we stand out as not being particularly gloomy, but I think that's why they like it. It's like a little like, you know, like a little like sorbet in between courses. They're like, oh, I can get behind this. They're playing real instruments and they're kind of pleasant people.
Everybody was very pleasant. Though.
And then they go back to the, you know, the music being synthier, heavier, and gloomier, which is great, you know, which we like that.
Yeah, we
stuff
like
too.
it. Yeah.
But I think it's a nice contrast also.
Right. Well, that's true, and I think that to be honest, from my perspective, I think that's part of your appeal, is that you have that particular approach that is not the same as everyone else's, and it makes it gives you a way to stand out and yet still fit into a couple of different categories. So
yeah,
we've got a toe in a few different scenes.
Yeah.
We're gothier than the folkies, and we're folkier than the goths.
Yeah, and we're more urban fantasy than not, I would say.
There you go. There you go. And we certainly discovered that when you played at our event at Con this year in 2025.
Yeah.
Now, how does your writing process typically work? How do you start with the music? Do you start with the lyrics, or does it depend on, does it differ from song to song? How does that work?
Well, it's kind of morphed over the years. We've been playing together for
13 years.
13. Feels like 100. But so when we started, we didn't know each other really at all. And our first meeting, we put together a list of possible song titles or subjects and prompts.
Yeah, so it was like songs about things. Like we had topics we wanted to explore. Part of this is that like we came at this project from the perspective of two people who each led our own large band for which we were the sole songwriter and front person. And we thought it would be fun to do a fun, no pressure side project as a duo where we were collaborating on the songwriting, but also using both of our voices, both as a storytelling tool and as a melodic thing. And so to have two singers who could both do everything was really exciting. But we were like, well, what should we do? It would be fun to have story songs with like two perspectives. And so we could like each sort of tell our side of the story. And that would be like a fun thing to try.
Right. And we wouldn't have to like get into our messy feelings about how we, want it, how we, we're really sad on the inside, or like talk about personal stuff.
Well, and we had bands for that already.
We had bands for that.
We didn't need that.
Plus, we didn't know each other, and I didn't, I wasn't. It was easier to kind of collaborate wearing these kind of masks, putting on these persona of like different characters.
Yeah. So we were like, well, what would be like some fun scenarios that like two people could be in to like tell a story?
Right. Like a living woman in love with a ghost.
Two people have murdered somebody and they're not sure what to do about it.
Yeah. Someone's, this couple have stolen a car and they, they're on the run.
The knife thrower and the lovely assistant, they're a complicated relationship.
Yeah. A demonic secretary and, her employer, I guess.
Yeah. So then we wrote all those songs.
Yeah.
And for the most part, our process, like for that whole first album, was like an epistolary style, or a relay race, where one of us would start something and record a little voice memo of like a verse and a chorus, or like, sort of the first chunk, almost like a template, and then send it to the other one. And then, the other one of us would take it to the next place. Yeah. So, a little bit of an exquisite corpse exercise, a little bit of a relay, a little bit of epistolary. And it was so exciting to
motivating.
Oh my gosh. Like I remember like being at the train station after like visiting my parents or something, and like getting the next installment of the song that we were working on. And like I was like so excited. I like was beside myself.
Yeah. And it really motivates you if you've like, someone has just sent you another verse and you're like, oh, this is great. I really have to, I have to like step up and really like,
right.
Something. Because usually in the past, for me personally, like lyric writing was like very agonizing and long drawn out process where I would pace around and like, I don't know, this is no good or whatever. And just to have someone that you're accountable for was really, I got a lot more done.
Well, and also like, that if it really sucks, the other person will fix it, or like call it out,
or say something,
improve it, hopefully, or whatever. So yeah, the pressure is a little lower to make it perfect on the first go. So we kind of started out with like songs about a thing, a specific thing, and like, I don't know, lyrics first, music first is always a weird question for me, because the melodies and lyrics usually kind of come hand in hand. Like the cadence of the words like suggests the melody, and the melody kind of like implies chords, although you may change them later. I mean, I think it's different for you, but we've also we've kind of osmosed a lot of our process over the years.
Yeah, with my previous band, it was really music first, and then I try to like have the music really inspire some lyrics or some fragments, and I would develop it that way. But since working with Elia, I've definitely crossed over into lyrics first kind of approach somewhat more. And
well, it helps if like you're writing a song about a thing and you know what it is when you're going in, what it's about, to like, then you kind of need words. So we do have like a few tried and true techniques that we go back to, one of which is let's make a list of all the things about that topic and like kind of define the universe. So we have a song called Heart of Brass that is our like steampunk epic. And so we were like, all right, let's write down like a list of all the like most steampunk things we can think of. And so, we have a long list of like all the things, and then we like jam them all into the song, because you start looking for like, fortuitous rhymes or words that seem to go together, or images or ideas that seem to go together.
And that also inspires like a meaning or a narrative thread that you're like, oh yeah, this connects with that. And like we can have this move into this area, or like there's some motion, or there's a plot or a narrative that starts is also emerge, like comes out of this raw material of just the list of stuff. So it's more than just a litany of things, but it has it has some thread to it.
Yeah, but to define the universe, to limit the universe of things, so you're not like, well, let's write a song about like anything in the infinite universe, but like to like draw the borders in a bit and say, all right, we're going to write a song about the things within this circle, which is spies or steampunk, or Bram Stoker's Dracula, or whatever it is. Yeah, and we turn to literature a lot for song inspiration as well.
Well, it sounds as though you guys have, as you said, it's morphed a little bit over time, the approach, but it sounds as though you have it working for you the way you do it now. And hey, I can't argue with that, right?
It's working, although we still couldn't say how you go from like not having a song to having a song. Like there's a thing that happens, but like that like middle bit is like very mysterious.
It's still mysterious. And we sit side by side for a lot of the stuff. Like one of us might come up with an idea, a fragment, or a musical fragment, or a lyrical idea, or a concept, and we'll sit side by side now that we know each other a little bit better.
There's a lot of just like sitting and like staring at the screen or the notebook and being like, what about something that goes da da da?
Right.
Or da, da, da. Yeah, that's a good one. Da da da.
Yeah.
Now I know that you are both big readers. And but one thing I'm curious about is, do you have specific works of literature or folklore that you can point to and to say, oh, that influenced this song for sure? Do you have something like that?
So many.
Yeah.
Just toss out a couple then. Yeah.
All right. Bram Stoker's
Your
Dracula inspired our song "Trick of the Light." We have a song called "Be My Bride" of Frankenstein, although that's more like the movies than the literature.
Infernal Soiree.
Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. The Lock and Key graphic novel series put a little bit into our song "Wishing Well," as did Macbeth.
The Little Black Bird. There's a lot of folk like Reynard
Reynard the Fox, the La Fontaine and the Aesop's fables. There's lots of like fox and crow stories that we drew from for that. We read a really great book of Baba Yaga stories and essays about Baba Yaga folklore, which inspired our song Baba Yaga. We've got a bunch of Greek mythology inspired songs, Selene and Endymion, although we do pronounce it Endymion in the songs. It has to rhyme with lie down.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Poetic license after all, yeah.
And we've got a song that's a retelling of the Eurydice and Orpheus story.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a song that's our take on Persephone and Hades. Like there's a lot of the Greek mythology.
Well, it's like two characters that get in trouble is usually, ripe for a story or a good song.
We've got some Norse mythology in Ragnarok. We've got
some murder ballad influence things.
Egyptian mythology in Osiris. Fairy tales generally tend to make their way in. And it's funny, we recently were rereading Little Big by John Crowley. And although there's not specific songs that book has inspired, at least not so far, a lot of the material in that book is very resonant with a lot of the stuff that we're interested in.
Yeah, like tarot and memory palaces and all sorts and fairy and all sorts of things. So.
Well, it certainly sounds as though that's quite a list, just off the top of your head.
Yeah. Oh, and Moby Dick and the works of Edgar Allan Poe. I almost forgot.
Yeah, I mean, come on, you can't say you're goth without Edgar Allan Poe. I'm just teasing.
Right. That's right.
I mean, isn't that kind of a staple? Whatever. Yeah. And well, so my question then, because I have yet to make it through your whole catalog, and I enjoy your stuff very much, but I do find myself particularly attached to Sympathetic Magic. I'm not quite sure why, but I mean, it's a great song, but I'm just saying that one I particularly like. And I don't know if it's because it's one of the first ones I heard and it just stuck with, you know what I'm saying? And it just had kind of a special thing for me. But was that one influenced by anything in particular, or is that kind of a combo?
I think it's more the concept of sympathetic magic as a magical practice and technique,
and what a relationship based on that sort of entails. The idea of someone represented by a piece of themselves, and then you can manipulate that and connect with them. It's a little like what we do as artists, putting our songs out into the world. And I don't know, there is something about it that is really resonant for us also. And just the idea of this imaginary relationship that is as real as real. I think we can all relate to that.
Right. I think a lot of authors, not lyricists and musicians, but authors of the printed word would probably completely understand that explanation, or would agree with it and say, oh yeah, that happens to me, just based upon some things that I've heard some of them say. Now, do you each have a favorite song or album of yours? Or is that too hard? That's like asking somebody who's your
favorite child?
Yeah. But is there something that you particularly enjoy? Let's put it that way. Whether it's playing it or just the fact that it was like a great process putting it together, or there's some reason that you feel an affinity for that.
I mean, besides always the latest thing or the current project that we're working on being the most, I don't know, exciting and obsessional thing. I think when I look back at everything, if I were to look back at everything so far at this point, I'm really proud of the work that we did with the Oracle deck, the Charming Disaster Oracle deck. And that is like a larger kind of encompassing thing that, involves 72 cards, like with each of our songs being depicted as a Oracle card. And just, we both had worked on like small amount of the artwork, but mostly it's like 30 different artists that had, we collaborated with and had kind of made their own interpretations of our songs and created this deck. And I think that as a thing I'm really proud of the work that they have all done. And we've all kind of worked on it together. And it's really cool to see it as a physical thing, to see all 72 songs represented in a deck that people can look at.
Yeah, that's amazing.
How about you?
I think for me, I would say Our Lady of Radium, which was our fourth album, and is a concept album inspired by the life and discoveries of scientist Marie Curie, and the love story between Marie and Pierre Curie, her husband and collaborator. We wrote those songs on an artist residency that we had wanted for a long time to make a group of songs that all were sort of exploring the same universe, because the rest of the time, kind of each song is its own sort of isolated universe. There's correspondences between them, like over time, but we wanted to deliberately create a song cycle, and so we wrote these 9 songs based on a lot of reading, a lot of research. We read, biographies and autobiographies and scientific works and all kinds of stuff. And then the song sat for a long time because we kind of had another album sort of already in the works, and the timing was weird. And it wasn't until the pandemic that we actually recorded it. We had plans to record other songs in a studio, and we couldn't work in a studio. And so we improvised. We worked around our limitations. We bought a couple of decent microphones, and we talked to our recording engineer about how we could record drums with just 2 microphones. And we borrowed drums from Jeff's brother, and we set up camp in my parents' empty house during the pandemic. We recorded the piano that I used to take piano lessons on when I was a kid. We used all the different spaces of the house, which was not designed to be a recording studio. Oh my God, there were so many sounds of leaf blowers outside or lawnmowers or whatever it was. We had to do a lot of stuff at night. But we really we entered this really amazing kind of space where we were coming up with new ideas and executing them. And it was just the 2 of us playing everything on that album, the piano, the drums, banging on pots and pans. And there was a ticking clock in the room that we were working in that we had to remove because it was so loud, but then we brought it back and we recorded the ticking clock, and that's on one of the tracks. So we really, I really feel we stretched ourselves in a way that we never had before, because we were forced to by the pandemic. We couldn't be in a room with our engineer, and we couldn't bring in other musicians. And in the end, I'm so proud of that record. Yep. Not just the concept of it, but I think we actually recorded it in a really beautiful way. And you can, it's a little shaggy around the edges in certain ways, but I think it really breathes and sounds beautiful. And
I think I totally agree. And and how that was conceived, how that, the 2 weeks in the residency was also, we were sequestered away in northern Michigan in the winter in this
Whoa.
art residency. Yeah, where we just, like, the first week we just read and took notes, and the second week we wrote how many songs in that?
We wrote 8. Well, I think 7 while we were there, and then we there's
7.
one that already existed, and there's one
That's
that we
like
wrote
a song
at
a
the end.
day.
Yeah,
So
basically.
in that last week, and then as Elliot said, they just kind of sat for a while, and just to have it be kind of written that way and then recorded in
another,
in isolation,
which was so true to the way that Marie and Pierre worked together in their own work, like as like two people in isolation, like obsessing over a new idea.
Yeah, that was resonant while we were doing it.
Sure, you're getting to kind of have the experience that you're writing about too.
Yeah.
So that
very much so.
That had to have added a lot to it.
Yeah.
Now, is there a song that one of you loves but the other one isn't completely enamored of?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
We haven't explored this.
I don't know. There are songs that one of us doesn't always feel like playing when the other one does.
Yeah.
Like there's sort of different like weather around certain songs. Like I don't know. I feel like sometimes I don't want to do Devil May Care.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Until we're doing it. And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great song. I don't know what my problem was. There's some that are just hard to execute physically, whether like it's the singing or the playing.
And maybe, harder for different reasons. Like some are kind of high and, not in the best place of my voice. And maybe I just subliminally don't want to do those.
Well, and some songs are like more suited to like a studio where you don't have to be loud.
Sure.
And, and it's harder in a live situation where you have to like, really kind of project.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think there's any songs that like one of us loves and the other one doesn't love.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we love them all.
Yeah. I think we feel.
You're attached. You're attached to them all. You love all your babies equally.
Love them all.
There's some orphans also. I mean, there's songs that like we've written and never recorded, and like they're part of our sort of secret language of like songs we refer to that like nobody's ever heard of.
Right. And so, I can imagine that. Do you want our situation to be like such and such? Yeah, I can get that.
We'll share one of those with you if you want. We wrote a song.
Which one?
The Saw one.
The Saw.
Okay, so we wrote a song. The concept is there's someone who plays the musical Saw, but the musical Saw is haunted. She has to play it because otherwise it thirsts for blood. And so she has to play it, but it also like it summons the spirits of the dead. And
it's about two.
It's just like regular, like a normal song. But there's a line in it. I'm so weary of this conjuring. And so that's actually a thing we say all the time. I'm like, oh, I'm so weary.
Conjuring.
All this conjuring. So weary.
That's great. That's great. If I ever hear you guys say that again, I'll know the story. And I can imagine it comes in handy at the end of a long day of trying to put things together too.
Certainly.
We get wearier.
So much wearier and wearier.
And you have to, of course, touch your face when you say I'm so weary, right?
Weary.
Or there you go. Yeah, you guys have it down perfectly. Now, how do you think your music has evolved over time? I mean, since the beginning, has it you talked about your process had changed a little bit, but do you think your music has changed at all?
Yes. I think it's become, I'd say some of the lyrical content has become more oblique and kind of
more evocative.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Evocative. And we're not afraid, I think, now to be more oblique and like, atmospheric in its content, or more impressionistic,
Yeah, and it's sort of like working the opposite direction. Like rather than like we have an idea, we're gonna like write a song about this thing. It's like we have a song forming. What is it about? Like what is this song about? And it's a much harder way to write, and we don't always get there, in fact. But like
It takes some time and some like shared experience, I think. Also it's helpful. Like we're
collecting.
Collecting. We've been through something together. We can something kind of precipitates out of that often.
Yeah, I like that, precipitates out of it. That's interesting.
It.
And then like over time we there's certain things that we've gotten interested in that you can kind of hear if you listen to our albums in order. Like I think you'll hear an accumulation of like things that start to show up. One of those is like exploring dissonance. One of those is Jeff singing very high. One of those is polyrhythms and like more interesting time signatures. And so like I think musically we've gotten more sophisticated in our songwriting over time.
Yeah. And do you think some of that comes from experience? And well, I mean, obviously some of it's going to come from experience, but also you kind of feel more comfortable in presenting things as a whole, perhaps. You know, I mean, I'm not a musician, but just, you know, I'm guessing that probably part of that confidence, you know, that's got to play a role as you were talking about, you know, being okay with being, you know, a bit more oblique in your approach. It reminded me when you were saying that of, you know, they tell people who are writers of fiction that you, or whatever, to you know, there's something about showing and not telling, and that's kind of what that reminds me of. So
sure. Yeah.
Speaking for myself, I think I've just become a better musician over the last decade plus of playing together. And so like ideas that might have seemed too far out, or like I wouldn't have thought to try them. Now we've done all these like complicated things that we can do. And so I think part of it is like a confidence that like we can play this. Like
I also, same for me. And I think as artists, you know, you're kind of always like looking forward to the next thing and trying to experiment with things. And like, you know, we've done a certain bunch of styles and like types of songs, and like as we kind of look around and want to like push our boundaries a little bit, I think there's some of that, our boundary pushing. And like even if like, are the people that like our music gonna enjoy this? And I think like knowing that we can bring them along with us as we try new things.
Yeah, so far they've been very game to come with us.
I hope so.
Yeah. The true fans, right?
Right.
That's those are the ones you want. Now, is there a song? Now, I know when you tour, you're obviously going to be playing probably the lion's share of new material. But is there a song that over the last several to a few years that you always play at shows that could be from your back catalog or something? Is there something that always turns up?
Yeah, there's a couple. We have our like short list of bangers, and like sometimes if we're like we usually do a set based on chance, where audience members draw cards from the Oracle deck. You know, which it's usually not the whole deck. Usually it's like a subset of the deck, which is like maybe the new songs and the ones that we love the most.
Right, been curated by us.
Yeah, but it's still like a lot of songs that are in like the black velvet bag, and people draw cards. And occasionally we'll do like a real set list. And when we do a real set list, it's like, what are the new ones and what are the bangers? And I would say Black Snake almost always shows up.
Yeah, Black Snake, Sympathetic Magic often, but Black Snake more.
Monsters, Hellbore.
Yeah. Far.
Yeah, I mean, but Black Snake, if we're doing a set list set, it's the one we like to start with usually. It's a good cold open where we come out and we just play Black Snake, and then after we're done, then we introduce ourselves, and people are, you know, we've got them usually.
Right. At that point, yeah. They're like, okay, we're in. Tell us more.
Yeah, because you get like with Black Snake, it kind of like sets the tone, and
it's moody. Like we get to do a lot of our tricks, you know, like Jeff is singing high, I'm singing low.
Yeah, we're singing at the same time.
Singing different stuff at the same time. harmonies, taking turns,
juggling, handstands.
And there's a mood, there's a vibe, and so that's the one that like is like our calling card a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, when it comes to your own listening choices, what kinds of music do you enjoy listening to, and who are some of your favorite bands or artists?
I don't even know anymore.
PJ Harvey, Led Zeppelin, Joanna Newsom, Fiona Apple, the Gang of Four, Joy Division, Devo. Thank you, Devo. Who was I was trying to think of a second ago. Who else? I mean, lots and lots of different stuff.
Adam and the Ants.
Oh yeah, Adam and the Ants. So formative.
Yeah, as far as like new music, I'm not listening. I don't seem to listen to any new music at all.
Oh well, it doesn't have to be new.
I know, just reflecting on.
Oh yeah. It is interesting when you find that out about yourself, isn't it? It's like, wait a minute, I can't.
So I mean that's like a little short list of stuff we probably would have listened to.
The White Stripes.
Oh yeah, the White Stripes for sure.
Stuff that goes.
That I can see. Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
I guess kind of for obvious reasons, but yeah, I could. I could definitely.
David Bowie, Iggy Pop. I'm just thinking about like what's in my like record player stack right now.
Well, it's a very eclectic list.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. I mean, I also really love like African pop, like, and they're so like, and that's like Western Africa kind of African pop. Like that's sometimes we listen to that, and sometimes we listen to more like highfalutin stuff.
Yeah,
like Philip Glass. Yeah,
Phil Glass.
Yeah, I love some Philip Glass.
Yeah, minimalist composers. We get into that because of we use some of those techniques in our music, like overlapping rhythms and kind of patterns going in and out of phase that we like to do. So sometimes we listen to Phil Glass. I like to call him Phil.
Yeah. You're a good friend, Phil, right?
Yeah, we're good friends.
Yeah. Well, and that's great that it's that it is such a varied list in terms of I'm sure that helps in some ways to help you build kind of your own sound as well, and just to give you a foundation, I suppose, of what kinds of things you enjoy, because I guess it's kind of like, well, that's maybe even a hopping off point to, not that you're trying to sound like somebody else, but it might make you think of something else, and then you're like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Something similar to that.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that's very true, but it's not limited to music. And I think there's a lot of like culture that we like experience on the receiving end that like I don't want to say consume because I feel like that's so yucky and transactional, but like there's a lot of visual art and film and
literature
obviously. And I think all of that goes into the mix, and that it's really important to like to feed the source in that way and experience what other people are making.
Yeah, when we first made our list of things, like aesthetic kind of
touch points,
parameters, or things that we liked, basically, it was a lot of film stuff, a lot of
film noir, French New Wave.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Edward Gorey was in there, and
Tim Burton, Charles Adams.
Right. A lot of non-musical touch points.
Right. And I get, especially when it comes to some of the visual stuff, I can imagine that would be a huge influence on when you're thinking of things when your brain is percolating. Now, you mentioned literature, and I know you guys are both readers. And so my question for you is, what are some of your favorite genres? And I know the answer to part of that question, and or one answer to that. And what are you currently reading?
Can we say the Scholomance?
Yeah.
Because Elliot just read the whole Scholomance trilogy
Aloud.
On our last 2 tours, and I loved it so much. It was so great to
It was great for me too. I had read them once before, but like I'm a really, really fast reader, and so like things are like over very quickly. So it was nice to revisit and to like have to keep the pace that I could like read aloud too.
Yeah, you could use meat time.
Mm-hmm.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's like, and you can probably enjoy it on a different level when you're reading it aloud than you did when you were reading it to yourself, right?
And experience it with someone kind
Together.
of like, it's in like the words are hanging in the air, and we can kind of like both, I don't know,
be in it at the same time.
Be in it.
Yeah.
It was really, I enjoyed it so much. And like it, yeah, I was like, oh, can you read again? You know, it was like, oh, good, we get to drive.
I know, it was like, oh, we've got a 6-hour drive. Great,
let's go.
Or you're like, how many more chapters can I stick in before we get to where we're going?
Yeah,
there were a couple of times where we parked when we got to where we were going, and we just sat for a little bit, and Elliot finished the chapter.
We've got like 10 minutes before we have to go in.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's a great way to experience.
I felt
it's great, but we don't know what our next book is going to. So the other book that we did that way was Little Big by John Crowley, which we had both read before, but to like experience it out loud, like together was really special.
That's such a dense book with so many concepts and ideas involved with it. It was really cool to go through that with someone else.
Yeah, especially like there's like these long passages that are like I would always sort of like skim a little bit.
Yeah,
and,
same.
And so to have to like actually like go through them and really think about them
what's
was
happening?
good. Like Father Time.
Yeah, it's a very, very complex.
You're like, oh yeah, I forgot that happened, or I forgot that happened.
Of course,
the orrery.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we've been reading lately. I just read the new Holly Black. I'm reading Nicola Griffith's third Aud Torvington book right now. What else did I just read? I'm waiting eagerly for the new Philip Pullman installation.
Okay.
Everyone is.
Yeah. Well, it was like a big cliffhanger at the end of The Secret Commonwealth. And it's been like 5 years that we've been like sitting out there in the desert with a gun pulled on Lyra. So I'm very eager to get into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What else are we waiting for? The new Tamsin Muir.
Oh, yes.
Obviously.
When is Alecto the Ninth coming out? When? Tamsin, if you're watching, you're just waiting.
I heard she has long COVID. She's dealing with a lot of health issues.
That sucks. We'd all like the next Patrick Rothfuss book.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I think you should probably let him know, because he might not know that people.
Yeah, he might not know. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
What we like about his book so much is the way he deals with music and like musicians in it, and like what it's like to be a working musician within the Patrick Rothfuss universe. It's so
true. It's
so true and so
true to
real.
Life. Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah, and the best idea in those books. Now, I like those books very much, but the best idea in those books is the idea that when you're a working musician and someone offers to buy you a drink, a thing that you do not need because the venue will give you drink tickets, most likely. Also, like, how much can you possibly drink? The idea is you say, oh, yes, I'd like a fake name of a drink. And then the bartender understands that is the code for get me a fizzy water with some lemon in it or whatever. And then for which the patron pays cocktail prices, and then you and the bartender split that. And everybody's happy because the patron got to like show their appreciation for you, and you and the bartender both got to like, yeah. So I really wish that was more of a standard practice, because it's a great idea.
Great idea.
That is very interesting, and I could absolutely see that taking off as an idea if
Hopefully.
more people do about it. Yeah.
Yes.
And Patrick Roth, like the other thing I love is like how much it harkens back to Ursula K. Le Guin's Earthsea books, and like that kind of magical school and like that kind of worldview of like the first couple books in that series. But I just reread those, and I had never read Tehanu until recently, and it totally, completely blew my mind. What an incredible work! And then like I had to revisit. Because the Tombs of Atuan, which like is the second one, like that is really interesting if you think about it in terms of the Tamsin Muir books and the kind of death cult nun thing, and so I went down a little rabbit hole with that as well.
Well, there's nothing wrong with going down a rabbit hole with something you enjoy. I am definitely on board with that idea.
What are you reading that you really like?
Well, you know what I'm reading right now that, well, since we're talking about music, I'm reading Ozzy's Last Rites.
Oh, excellent.
And I was interested in it because of the fact that, with how his last several years had gone. And so that was kind of what I was interested in, and the way it's written, it's pretty interesting. It does it deals with his explanations of kind of how things transpired over the last several years. I'm a little more than halfway, I think, but he does go back and talk about some of the things that happened in the past, but they don't take up a lot. It's not like he's reliving all his wild days. He refers to them and tells you about specific incidents, but I mean, some of his earlier books, I'm sure, did that, but this one I was particularly interested in because it was more of a reflection of his reflections as an older guy, and looking back on all of that. So and I was a very early Black Sabbath fan. That was actually the first concert I ever went to. I was 14 and went to see them, and so that was. And I can still see certain things that just what I experienced at the concert. So. Anyway, I'm enjoying that. So that has absolutely nothing to do with urban fantasy, but it is.
Doesn't it though?
It is very interesting. There's some stuff about the music industry in there as well, which so I think it has a little bit of everything for everybody, actually, and it's got some very funny parts, despite some of the seriousness. I'll be reading and I'll start chuckling to myself, and my husband's like, "What's so funny?" Okay, and then after a few times of me doing that, he's like, "Okay, what's funny this time?" And I have to tell him,
what's Ozzy up to now? Yeah.
Right. What is Ozzy doing right now? And I think one of the last things I read before we left for Scotland was the newest Ben Aronovich.
Oh yeah, I read that too. It was good.
Yeah,
yeah. He puts them out. He puts them out. I eat them.
Yeah, he's a good guy too. He's a lot of fun. So if we could only get him at Dragon Con, that would be lovely.
Yeah, I love the development of Abigail, I have to say, and the foxes. It's my favorite bit.
Yeah, and he really enjoys writing that character, from what he's told me in a couple of different interviews. So yeah, I think it's easy, number one, to understand why, and it's also you can get that from the way he does write the character, and and it's great. So I really enjoyed that one. And speaking of him, before we all go, I did want to tell the people about your upcoming UK tour. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, we are very excited. We start on October 24th in Croydon, just outside of London, and then let's see. Can I see if I can remember all the places we're going? We're going to
It's a
Croydon.
quiz.
All right, we'll be in Preston. We'll be in Barrow-in-Furness. We'll be in Glasgow. We'll be in Edinburgh. We'll be in Berwick-upon-Tweed. We'll be in Newcastle, Hull, Whitby, Nottingham, and back in London on November 7th. So we're doing like a kind of full circle. Yeah, we're very excited, and we're going to be playing in the Edinburgh Horror Festival, which is very exciting, and also the Whitby Goth Weekend. And we're very excited to play our song inspired by Bram Stoker's Dracula in the very town where Dracula's ship made landfall on England's shores.
Yes. Now, do you know, is Dacre Stoker supposed to be there this year?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't
He's
know.
the great grandnephew of
Okay.
Bram. Yeah. And he's a friend of the track also. And I haven't seen him in a few years, but yeah, he usually goes. But yeah, and of course, I hope you'll get to, if you get a chance, if you have the time, even the drive. Well, I'm trying to think of where you are. Are you coming to Whitby?
From
Barrow.
Manchester, basically going across from
Okay.
from Atherton, which I might not have mentioned earlier.
Okay. But it's a lovely drive just through the I think it's called the Northmoors
the
National Park, and there's a lot of beautiful stuff there. But if you do have time, do go into the museum that's there at the Abbey, and you'll see some cool stuff. And of course, they have a very nice gift shop too that has a lot of interesting things.
Good. Well, we have a day off the next day, and we're gonna go to York, so not too far, and we'll have a chance to poke about it a little.
Yeah, and York is also a very interesting town to walk around, and it's not that hard to get around. Although we did find ourselves getting on the correct bus, but going in the wrong direction one time. And so we ended up not getting back to the other side of town. But
is it really the correct bus if you're going in the wrong direction?
Well, it was the right number.
Okay.
But instead of taking us, it eventually took us back, but it was not going straight there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I've done that.
It's like we're on the wrong side of the street. So, whatever. But so I guess my whole comment about that was you can walk around a lot of the older part of York. But then if you try to go further afield, you need a way to get around. But in any case, I hope you guys have a wonderful time.
Thank you.
And it's very exciting. I'm very happy for you that you're getting to do it, and I'm happy for all of your fans, existing and new, that you will pick up while you are there.
Well, thank you. If anybody watching wants to know more about that, our website is charmingdisaster.com, and all the shows are listed there, ticket links and all that.
And they're also on the thumbnail. They'll show up.
Oh, great.
And the video. I'll leave that up until the tour's over, and then I'll change the thumbnail.
Thank you so much.
And also there will be any kind of links or whatever in the description of this on YouTube, so people can see it. But I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time, especially after you just got back a couple of days ago from doing another big event in Salt Lake City, and getting ready for leaving for this tour. And I appreciate it so much, you being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having us. We had such a fun time talking with you.
Great chat.
I'm so glad the timing worked out perfectly.
Yes, it did. It was perfect. And it's the right time of year and everything. And I want to thank everyone who will be watching this. If you are not familiar with Charming Disasters music, please go check them out. And also something else we'll be doing this month here on the channel is having a discussion of the second part of season 2 of Wednesday. And that will be next Wednesday, the 22nd. That will be live. So if you would like to join us and offer your opinions.
I have opinions, but we're traveling to England that day, unfortunately.
Well, you can add them later, okay. Or you can listen to it on the plane or whatever. Well, anyway, but in any case, thanks so much to the two of you. Thanks to all our viewers, and we will be back again soon. Thanks so much, you guys.
Thank you.
And bye, everyone.
Bye.